We should talk.
Brock Lesnar could lead the Vision and build to dream match. Brock Lesnar returning to WWE to face John Cena one last time was great, but what if that wasn't the endgame? What if Brock reuniting with Paul Heyman on SmackDown while Bron Breakker and Bronson stood beside the Wiseman was actually planting seeds for something bigger? What if Brock Lesnar is about to take over the Vision, lead the next generation of monsters, and set up the dream match we didn't know we needed until right now, the Beast Incarnate versus the next big thing in Bron Breakker? Welcome back to the Wrestling Hidden Insight, and today we're exploring the fascinating scenario where Brock returns not as a nostalgia act but as the veteran leader of the Vision, why that dynamic creates incredible storytelling possibilities, and how the inevitable clash between Lesnar and Breakker could be the passing of the torch moment that defines both men's legacies. Let's start with what we know and what we're speculating based on recent developments. Brock Lesnar came back to WWE for John Cena's retirement tour, and they had their match. It was a special moment for both guys and for fans who remembered their legendary rivalry from the early 2000s. But Brock also reconnected with Paul Heyman during that return. They had that backstage segment on SmackDown where they embraced, where the camera lingered on their reunion, where you could feel the history between them. And standing right there in the background were Bron Breakker and Bronson. The Brons, the Vision, Paul Heyman's current clients. That visual wasn't accidental. WWE doesn't do accidental. That was intentional framing. That was WWE saying, pay attention to this, something is being set up. Jelly Roll, the celebrity and massive wrestling fan, discussed this exact scenario on Insight with Chris Van Vliet. Jelly Roll, who describes himself as a Paul Heyman guy behind the scenes, noted that Seth Rollins getting kicked out of the Vision opened up numerous possibilities. And one of those possibilities is Brock Lesnar stepping into that leadership void. Think about it. The Vision just kicked out their founding member. They've got Paul Heyman as their mouthpiece and strategist. But they don't have an established veteran anchor. They don't have that ultimate final boss figure who commands respect through sheer dominance. Bron Breakker is 27 and insanely talented but still building his legacy. Bronson is a monster but hasn't held a world title yet. The Vision needs someone at the top who's already conquered everything. And that's Brock Lesnar. Brock leading the Vision makes perfect sense from multiple angles. First, Paul Heyman. Heyman has managed multiple clients simultaneously before, and it always creates compelling television. Heyman managed both Brock and Roman during periods of their careers, and the tension of Heyman potentially favoring one over the other was gold. Now imagine Heyman managing the Vision with Brock as the alpha and Bron and Reed as the rising stars. The dynamic writes itself. Heyman praising all three but clearly deferring to Brock. Bron getting increasingly frustrated that he's playing second fiddle to a veteran who doesn't even wrestle full-time. Reed being caught in the middle trying to figure out where his loyalties lie. That's months of storytelling right there. Second, the next big thing connection. Bron Breakker has been called the next big thing by fans and commentators, which is the exact phrase that was used to describe Brock Lesnar when he debuted in WWE over 20 years ago. That's not coincidence. That's WWE deliberately creating a parallel. Brock was the future of WWE in 2002. Bron is being positioned as the future of WWE in 2025. Having the original next big thing mentor and eventually clash with the new next big thing is poetry. It's the kind of generational storytelling that wrestling does better than any other form of entertainment. Jelly Roll pointed out that when Paul Heyman has multiple wrestlers wanting to work with him, the show becomes more interesting. He referenced Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar's rivalry and the more recent situation where Heyman was caught between Roman and CM Punk. Those storylines worked because Heyman is the ultimate manipulator and politician. He plays both sides. He protects his own interests, and everyone around him is constantly wondering if they're his favorite or if he's about to betray them for someone else. Adding Brock to the Vision creates that same dynamic with Bron and Reed. Are they Heyman's guys or is Brock? When push comes to shove, who does Heyman choose? That uncertainty creates drama. But the real money is in the eventual match between Brock Lesnar and Bron Breakker. This is the dream match WWE needs to book. The original next big thing versus the current next big thing. The Beast Incarnate versus the young lion who's ready to dethrone him. This isn't just a match. This is a statement about the future of WWE. If Bron wins, and he should win, it's WWE officially saying this is our guy, this is who we're building the company around for the next decade. If Brock wins, which would be a mistake but could happen, it extends Brock's legacy but doesn't do much for Bron. The story builds itself. Brock returns and takes a leadership role in the Vision. Bron, who's used to being the most dominant force in whatever room he's in, has to defer to Brock at first. But as weeks go by, Bron gets increasingly frustrated. He sees himself as better, younger, hungrier than Brock. He thinks Brock is taking opportunities that should belong to him. Paul Heyman keeps trying to mediate, keep the peace, maintain control of both men. But the tension boils over. Maybe Bron costs Brock a match. Maybe Brock disrespects Bron in a promo. Maybe Heyman is forced to choose between them. And suddenly we've got a match that means everything. The match itself would be a spectacle. Brock's Suplex City style versus Bron's explosive athleticism and intensity. Two guys who wrestle with controlled violence and make everything they do look devastating. The contrast would be fascinating. Brock is the calculated veteran who's been in every big match imaginable. Bron is the young star who's still proving himself but has all the tools. You could book this match at WrestleMania. You could build to it over months. And when Bron finally beats Brock, pins him clean in the middle of the ring, it's the moment that crowns Bron as the undisputed future of WWE. The dream match isn't just Brock versus Bron though. The other possibility Jelly Roll and Van Vliet discussed was a conquering hero scenario. Someone who returns to humble Brock. Maybe that's John Cena in a rematch. Maybe it's someone else. But the idea of Brock returning, dominating, and then being humbled by the next generation is classic wrestling storytelling. The veteran comes back, reminds everyone how dominant they are, and then puts over the future on their way out. That's how legends are made and legacies are preserved. So Brock Lesnar could lead the Vision. He could reunite with Paul Heyman in a meaningful way. He could mentor and then clash with Bron Breakker in the passing of the torch match that WWE needs. And he could be part of a storyline that builds the future of the company while honoring the past. That's the dream scenario. That's what WWE should be building toward. And the seeds have already been planted with that backstage reunion and the Bron standing there watching.